Somewhere far away, I want
Yo, it's Tropics here, back at it again with the next Power Rankings. This will be my Week 5 Power Rankings. Yeah, I cannot believe it's already Week 5. But yeah, it is. Just got done watching the Monday Night Football game. Great game. Thought it would be more, what's it called? Close, more close. I thought it would be a closer game than it was. But as I predicted, the Chargers did very good. But Power Rankings speaking, as you can see, that was my last week's Power Rankings on the left-hand side, right here. Okay, I fucked that up. Right there. Yeah, so it's going to be a decent amount of movement. Nothing too crazy. There are a couple teams that go about a decent amount of spots, but mostly it's just little movement, but nothing crazy. But yeah, we'll get right into it. First off, I have Jacksonville going down one spot. This is because, Jacksonville, they played good against the Bengals. Don't get me wrong, they did. But to me, they're the worst team in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence doesn't look like he's improving very much. I can't lie, he just doesn't. James Robinson is a good running back. He's putting up numbers. He kind of started putting up more numbers last game on Thursday. But other than that, man, Marvin Jones didn't really show out. DJ Chark goes out with a broken ankle. Chenault's doing all right. Defensively, they looked better, but they don't look good. So I'm going to say they're my last team in the NFL at the moment. Trevor Lawrence just needs to complete passes, be more self-aware with the safeties looking down at him, because he always just reads the safeties and the corners wrong. And he just needs to, I don't even know what the word is. He needs to focus, because Marvin Jones will be going on a short route inside, coming in, and he won't see the safety that's creeping in from the right side, and usually his receiver is going to get knocked, or it's going to be an interception, or it's just going to be an incompletion. He just needs to. He's a rookie. He's going to learn. But as of right now, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars in last place in the NFL on my power rankings, dropping one spot. Dropping 2 spots this week is the Houston Texans. Honestly, going into it, I thought I was going to have Houston as my last team in the NFL. But I look at it, the first couple games of their season, they did all right. They weren't doing good, don't get me wrong. But they were doing all right. Tyrod Taylor goes out. Ever since then, it's just been absolute mayhem. They can't do anything. Davis Mills, he's not very good. I can't lie, he's not very good. 56% completion. I couldn't say that last week. I'm not going to be able to say it this week. He has a completion percentage of 56.5 about. That's just not going to cut it. You cannot trust a quarterback only throwing 56%. Or 57. It's close, whatever. Rushing attack, it did not look very good in that game. Not offensively in general, it just didn't look good. Everybody was shut down. The Bills defense just completely shat on the Houston Texans. So defensively, they got 40 points scored on them. So Jacksonville and Houston are kind of like combined 32 on my power rankings. But for now, they're going to drop 2 spots into the 31 place. But we'll move on to 30 and 29. So, at my 30 spot, I have Detroit dropping 2 spots in my power rankings. They played Chicago, and I did pick Chicago in my weekly picks. I thought Detroit was actually going to keep this game pretty close, but they just didn't show up. Offensively, they didn't look very good. Defensively, they let the Bears, who basically had a very bottom-tier offense the week prior, just kind of run all over them. But yeah, there's really not much to talk about Detroit. Statistically speaking, Jared Goff he's probably the best thing about the team, honestly, and TJ Hawkinson. But other than that, Jared Goff's throwing 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards. Rushing wise, Jamal Williams is doing better than DeAndre Swift, but they're both receiving backs as well. TJ Hawkinson's doing his thing at tight end. Nothing crazy there. He's not like going absolutely nuts at the moment. But other than that, the receiving core is kind of non-existent. Besides the running backs and Hawkinson, defensively they just didn't do good at all. I thought they were gonna have a couple decent stops against Chicago. It just never happened. So I think 30 is a good placement for them at the moment. If they somehow decide to pull off a game this upcoming week, which I don't think they will, I'm pretty sure they're playing the Vikings this upcoming week. Pretty sure that's who they're playing. And if their defense played anything like they did I cannot speak. I think I have a speech impediment. If their defense plays anything like they did against Chicago, against Minnesota's explosive offense, Minnesota is going to probably score 40 points on them. And that ain't good. But I think dropping 2 spots into 30 is a good placement for them right now. I do have them above the Texans and the Jaguars, which might surprise some people, but I don't think it should. I think that's a good placement for them. All right, but going to 29, we have Atlanta going down 2 spots as well. They played Washington. I watched like the second half of that game. I didn't really watch the beginning, so I don't really know what happened in the beginning. But I do know that game. Going into the fourth quarter, I'm pretty sure Atlanta was up. I think when I clicked on it, it was like 30-22, and I was like, damn, Atlanta's actually gonna win. My pick was wrong. Blah 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 blah. They just it seemed like they gave up. I think there was a turnover on Atlanta. I didn't watch the game very much, but I do remember a couple things. I remember Washington got the ball back. They went down the field, scored. Then they got the ball back again, and then they went down and scored again. And then Atlanta couldn't come back down the field and win the game. I think they went for a Hail Mary pass, just didn't work out. So Atlanta has this tendency recently and historically, if you know what I mean, to just choke leads, and it's kind of getting to the point where it's normal now. Like, I would not be surprised if this upcoming week, if the Jets go to London with the Falcons and beat them. It would not surprise me, because the Falcons just do not know how to close games. They need to start learning that, and they're just not. Nothing's coming of it right now. But statistically speaking, Matt Ryan's doing all right. I mean, 68 completion percentage of 68, almost 1,000 yards passing. It's not too bad. He's playing like Matt Ryan. He's not too good, not too great. He's like a decent quarterback. Rushing wise, Mike Davis doing all right, not great. Cordell Patterson in the receiving game last week. If you had him on fantasy and you didn't start him, I feel bad for you. That man's went off. 3 receiving touchdowns, plus he rushed for a little bit. Cordell Patterson is a very good player, very underrated player. Before like this season started, Cordell Patterson to me was the guy that returned kicks. He was very good at it. They used to say he was like the next Devin Hester, but obviously that didn't turn out that way. But other than that, I think dropping 2 spots into 29 is a good spot. Let me know in the comments if you think that. But yeah, we're going to move on to 28 and 27 right now. So coming in at my 28 spot, we have the New York Jets moving up 4 spots. Yeah, they went out. Even though Tennessee didn't have A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, which is a big hit offensively for the Titans, I still thought, they would probably run all over the Jets defense. It just didn't happen. The Titans were winning that game. I thought they were going to win that game. And then all of a sudden, Zach Wilson just decided to act like an NFL quarterback and just started fucking winging it. And it was working out for him. He got 2 touchdowns in like 2 minutes or something like that. I think that was the statistic. It was pretty crazy. And he had a really good deep ball to Corey Davis in the touchdown, or for the touchdown. But yeah, they're going to move up a decent amount if they beat a top 20 team, and they're one of the bottom tier teams in the league. They were at 32 last week, and they move up. Statistically speaking, Zach Wilson, we talked about it last week. He wasn't doing good. He did throw a pick in the game against Tennessee, but he also threw 2 touchdowns, so he improves that TD interception ratio, not by much. Still 4 touchdowns to 8 picks, but it's better than 2 touchdowns, 7 picks. So he's doing better. He's starting to learn how to play some NFL football, and that's good to see. Run game, still just non-existent. Corey Davis decided to come back and play some football. That was good to see. Jamison Crowder, I believe that was his first game back off of IR, if I'm not mistaken. And he did good. 7 receptions on 9 targets for 61. That's not too bad. I think he had a touchdown. Yeah, he did have a touchdown. So, yeah, I feel like the Jets should move up a spot. Their defense held a very high-powered offense, even though they didn't have wide receiver weapons. And they beat the Titans. I mean, there's not much else to say. The Jets' defense held up. The game did go into overtime, but they still came out victorious. It was about to be a tie, but Titans missed a field goal. All right. Moving on to 27, I have the New York Giants. So the 2 New York teams are sitting in these spots. God. So I had a 16-game parlay, right? And the 2 guaranteed games I had going into this week was the Saints beating the Giants and then Tennessee beating the Jets. And as you know, that didn't work out. And on that 16-game parlay, I had 2 parlays I think that were identical. And it would have added up to about $24,000. But yeah, I was right on every game besides these 2 games. And it killed me. But, you know, what am I going to do? Maybe I'll hit it next week. We'll see. But yeah, Giants played decent. They were getting kind of whomped on, I believe, in the third quarter. But then they came back. They tied the game. They also went into overtime. Saquon looked great. It's really, I love seeing that Saquon is back and healthy and running the ball very good. That's good to see. Love watching Saquon run the football. It's great. Even though the Giants' front line or offensive line isn't that, amazing, it's still good to see. Daniel Jones is playing pretty damn good. Touchdowns don't really show it, but the yardage and the completion percentage, it's decent. Almost 1,200 yards passing. Completion percentage about 67%. That's pretty solid. Receiving wise, I believe Kenny Golladay decided to have a game this week. That was good to see. Saquon had a good receiving game. And yeah, I mean, the Giants are better than I thought they were. Defensively, they held the Saints decently. Not great, but they did. Saints are a high-powered offense, but they held them pretty decent. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I can say about the 2 New York teams. So we're going to move on to 26 and 25. All right, so Miami in my 2... I mean, I've only posted 1 power rankings, I believe, right? No, I think I've actually posted 2. I think in both ones, they've been at 26. I'd have to fact check that, but I don't have them moving again. They took another loss. There's really not much to say about the Dolphins. They're just not as good as people thought they would be coming into the season. I mean, Tua went out. That was kind of a big hit. I don't think it's really much of a hit when you have Jacoby Brissett as your backup. That's a good backup. But Brissett, I mean, he's playing all right. Not great, though. I mean, there's not much you can do. Sorry. I have a sore throat, so I have to get a couple drinks in. The run game is still, it's just non-existent. Offensively, the Miami Dolphins are not that great. I mean, I wish I would see their passing game get more involved. They have great targets. I mean, Devontae Parker, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, Myles Gaskin's a good receiving out of the back. Will Fuller just came back. He didn't really get that involved, and it's kind of sad to see because I thought their offense would be kind of explosive because of that receiving core. It's a good receiving core. The only thing that's carrying this team, and they're not winning games even because of it, is the defense of Miami, and it's not even performing that great. So, in my opinion, I think the Dolphins are a good spot at 26. Let me know in the comments if you believe that. But yeah, we'll move on to 25, which is the Philadelphia Eagles. They put up a hell of a fight against Kansas City. I can't lie. It wasn't bad. I mean, they put up 30 plus on the Chiefs. Why did I almost say 49ers? Sorry, I'm loopy. It's a little late. It's like 11:30 at night. So sorry about that. Yeah, there's not much to say. Miles Sanders isn't really getting the ball in the backfield. That's tough. I thought he'd get more involved this year. Kenneth Gainwell is kind of getting a decent amount of attempts, but he's also getting a lot of pass catches. Make sure to pick him up in fantasy. That's a good pickup. Trade for him or anything, it doesn't matter. Not fantasy talk. Yeah, Jalen Hurts did all right. I mean, he's almost over 1,200 yards passing. Rushing wise, where is Jalen Hurts? 226 yards rushing. He's probably gonna have a thousand yards rushing plus, like, at this point probably 4,500 to 5,000 yards passing this year. That's crazy. I wasn't expecting that from Jalen Hurts. He's doing good. But their offense did play the Chiefs defense. I believe the Chiefs defense is not a very good defense at all. If we're just talking, like, they're just not this year. They're not the same defense we're used to, even though it wasn't that great last year either. But yeah, defensively, the Eagles got smacked by the Chiefs. Their secondary got destroyed by Tyreek Hill. I believe he had 3 receiving touchdowns and 180 plus yards. That just can't happen. They kept Travis Kelce quiet. That was good. But other than that, they got 40 plus scored on him. So I think 25 is a good spot. That could change. I feel like that could get better, but this upcoming week they have a tough game. So I don't know if they'll fall. They might stay. We'll see. But we're gonna move on to 24 and 23. All right. So I have Pittsburgh at 24. That might seem very low, but they are a 1-3 team, and yeah, they're offensively. Pittsburgh just doesn't look good. I don't know what else to say about them. Their offense is just selling out. Their defense is good. It's just their defense doesn't seem to be, like, putting up the numbers and stopping as many offenses as much because they're on the field so much because their offense can't convert first downs. And when that happens, your defense is going to get tired. And when they continually go out there, they're going to continually get tired. So that's why I have them so low. Their offense needs to produce, and I don't think Ben Roethlisberger is the Ben we know. I think I said that last week. He don't look good. He don't look good. 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's not Ben numbers. That's just not 64 completion percentage. That's decent. But yeah, it don't look good like that. Najee Harris rushing the ball. He's not that good of a running the ball. Like, I mean, he's good, but I mean, he's averaging like 3 yards per carry. That's just not gonna cut it. And other than him, there's not really. There really isn't anybody that's rushing for them. In the receiving game, on the other hand, Najee Harris is very good. He's a very good receiving back. Deontay Johnson looks good. Chase Claypool's doing all right. Juju Smith-Schuster fell off a goddamn cliff because nobody can find him. Yeah, I don't have really much to say about the Steelers. I feel like 24 seems low, but I don't think it is because they're going to go into this Denver game and they're going to be favored by like a point. And I don't think I'm going to take them. I think Denver actually is going to beat Pittsburgh just because of the play that's been happening, even if Drew Lock is the quarterback for the Broncos. I think defensively, the Broncos are stacked. So if Pittsburgh's offense plays like it's been playing against the Broncos, they literally have no chance. That's how I see it. And it's really kind of sad to see the Steelers fall off. I used to like watching the Steelers, and it's just not there anymore. But at 23, I also have the Vikings falling 4 spots this week. So, God, that game, Minnesota versus the Cleveland Browns, was probably one of the most boring games I think I've ever laid my eyes on. I believe the end score is 14-7 Cleveland. And I thought that game was probably going to be over 50 points total. I thought that was going to be a shootout. I didn't think it was going to be the way it was. Yeah. Kirk Cousins, he's still good. He's still playing great. He did throw a pick and a touchdown, I believe, to Justin Jefferson. Dalvin Cook came back, played pretty decent. Madison was in there a bit because Cook was still coming off that injury. Receiving-wise, Justin Jefferson's doing good. Thielen's still doing his thing. Osborne is kind of in there. But yeah, I mean, offensively, the Vikings are like on the top of the league offensively. They just didn't put it together against Cleveland's defense, who's been basically shutting everybody down. Cleveland's defense is... We're not on Cleveland, so we don't have to talk about it. But I thought that game was going to be a shootout. Didn't turn out to be that way. It turned out to be a punting game, and it was really boring. There's not much to say about the game because it was boring. Defensively, the Vikings looked pretty good. They held a pretty high-powered offense in Cleveland, only to 14 points. They held them to 12, or not 12. It was either 7 or 10 points for pretty much most of the game. I don't think the Browns scored that last touchdown till late in the third quarter or early fourth quarter. So, I mean, defensively, they looked pretty damn good. I can't even lie. But yeah, nothing much else to say about Minnesota. We're going to move on to the next. So, I have the New England Patriots falling 2 spots after their loss to Tampa Bay. The only reason I'm bringing them down 2 spots is because the Bears have to rise. I think another team has to rise. I can't remember. I might be wrong about that. We'll see. Whatever. 22 is not the greatest spot for the Patriots. I think it's the best spot right now because they took another loss. They're 1-3. They're still a 1-3 team. They played good. I can't lie. The Patriots played good. Offensively, Mac Jones looked good. Jacoby Myers looked pretty good. Damian Harris was basically invisible that game. I don't even think he had positive yardage that game running the ball. He had a couple receptions, but other than that, I mean, the Buccaneers defense kind of shut them down for the most part. But I saw spurts where Mac Jones and their offense were going down the field very fast and very efficiently. But some of those drives, they didn't end with touchdowns, and you got to put points on the board. I think they turned it over a couple times on 4th down as well. If you're going to go for it on 4th down, you got to make it. That's a coach's decision as well. Thought Bill Belichick was one of the greatest. He kind of has some bad calls here and there, but he also knew that he was playing Tom Brady, so it kind of makes sense. Defensively, they looked good. They held Tom Brady in that explosive offense to only 19 points. That might sound like a decent amount of points. It really isn't when you're playing against Tampa. Chris Godwin was basically invisible that game. Gronk wasn't there. That was tough for Brady. But they shut out most, and I can't remember his name. I think it's J.C. Jackson or something. I don't remember, but he covered Mike Evans pretty damn well. Mike Evans had a decent game. He covered him very well. Antonio Brown had a decent game. But other than that, the Patriots defense did very good. It's kind of tough to move them down, but they did take the loss, so I'm going to move them down. Statistically speaking, Mac Jones, he's kind of having like what Ben Roethlisberger is doing right now type of year, which is not bad for a rookie. You're coming into the league, you don't know what the hell you're doing. It's a different type of environment than Alabama football where you're just shitting on teams every day. So, yeah. I don't think there's really much else to say about the Patriots. They did good. They're going to drop on my power rankings because they still lost. But yeah, we're going to move on to Chicago, who moves up 4 spots in my power rankings this week. The previous week, they had 1 yard passing, I believe, or something like that. It was a crazy statistic. I couldn't believe it. But I picked the Bears to beat the Lions. I knew that you could only go up from that horrible performance the previous week. They did play the Browns that week. The Browns defense has just been controlling everybody. But, I mean, Justin Fields played pretty damn good. I mean, he didn't get any touchdowns or anything, but he played good. Very, very much better. Very much better. He played much better than the game against Cleveland. David Montgomery came out explosive. I believe he had 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. That was great for my fantasy team, by the way. So thank you, David Montgomery. If you're watching this, probably fucking not. Darnell Mooney looked good. Allen Robinson kind of picked it up from being garbage the first 3 games. So offensively, they looked pretty good. Defensively, they held Detroit, not a very high-powered offense, to 14 points. That's pretty good. So yeah, I think 21's a good spot for them this week. They're probably going to move up or move. I can't remember who they're playing this week. Who are they playing this week? I'm going to take a look real quick and see who they're playing, because I honestly forgot, to be honest. Let's see. They are going to be playing the Raiders. Okay, so the Raiders, as I said, just got done watching that Monday Night Football game. So the Bears are going to Las Vegas to play the Raiders. Defensively on Chicago, I don't think they're going to be able to stop the Raiders. So the Bears might be moving down in the power rankings next week. But if they do come up with that win, it's going to be a big push. And they might even be a playoff contender. Maybe. I'm not going to say anything yet. The Bears could end up being better than we thought they were going to be. Especially if Justin Fields continues to get better. But they might be putting Andy Dalton back in if he's healthy. So I don't know with the Bears. But for now, we're going to move on to the next. All right, so I have Washington moving up 2 spots from last week in my power rankings. They come off of a pretty big win against Atlanta. They were down in that game, as I talked about, and they decided to come back, and Heineke decided to put the damn team on his back. I really like Heineke. I don't know. He's a very enjoyable quarterback to watch. Underdog, like very big underdog of a quarterback. And he keeps on proving people that he's a decent quarterback. He's a cool story. If you guys want to check, I can't remember. I watched something about him. I believe he was like sleeping in like hotel. I don't know. It was a cool story to listen to. I think it was on a podcast. I don't know. Whatever. But in my picks, I believe 2 weeks ago, Madara said, because I said that Washington's defense would do good against like Atlanta or something. I can't remember what I said exactly. And he told me that Washington's defense is nowhere to be seen. And I watched a little bit of that game, and he wasn't wrong. Washington's defense was supposed to be a top defense this year, and it's just not. It's kind of non-existent. Their pass rush that was supposed to be there is just not there. I mean, the defense kind of showed up in that fourth quarter when they were coming back, but other than that defense was very non-existent in that game. So hopefully they pick it up on defense. I know a lot of people in the fantasy leagues decided to draft the Washington defense, obviously late in the draft, but because they thought they were going to be a good defense, and they're just not. Heineke, 70% on passes, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That's pretty good statistics, especially when you're a backup quarterback. He might be the quarterback of Washington's future for a while. That could very much be so. Antonio Gibson, doing good on the ground, definitely doing good in the passing game as well. Not like crazy in the passing game, but he's still doing great. McKissick is doing great in the passing game as their second running back. Terry McLaurin, scary Terry, doing his thing. Terry McLaurin is a very underrated wide receiver. I love watching Terry McLaurin run around the field. But yeah, offensively they were hitting on all cylinders against a very bad defense. Defensively, they need to pick it up. They need to fix that. But other than that, I think Washington's a very decent team at the moment. They're going into... No, the Saints are coming to Washington to play them. And I could see Washington somehow pulling that game out of their ass. I can't lie. Especially because the Saints recently. But we're going to move on to the Colts. They move up 4 spots in my power rankings. They were the underdogs going into this game against... they played Miami, right? Fuck. I'm really bad at the games right now. Did they play Miami? Who the fuck did they play? Let me check again. I'm so sorry. I'm really bad. It's hard to keep up with 16 games a week. I can't lie. Yeah, they did play Miami. In Miami. They won 27-17. That's very good, actually. I bet for them to win. I didn't know they were going to win by 10 points. But yeah, I mean, I told everybody they were the best 0-3 team coming into this week, and that's what they proved. They proved that they're probably the best 1-3 team now. One of the best. That's, yeah, never mind. But yeah, Carson Wentz was doing very good. The offense was firing. Jonathan Taylor had a big game. Defensively, they held Miami to 17 points. That's very good. I knew their defense was good coming into this year. It was just basically how Carson Wentz performed, and he's not doing too bad. Can't complain about him. 920 yards, 64% on passing, 5 touchdowns to 1 interception. That's not bad. That's really not bad. Jonathan Taylor picked it up very much in this recent game. Michael Pittman's showing himself as that wide receiver 1 in Indianapolis. And yeah, defensively they did good. I don't think there's really much else to talk about. I think 19 is a very good spot at the moment for the Indianapolis Colts. You guys can tell me again in the comments if you believe that. But we're going to move on right now. So, I have Tennessee moving down 2 spots to 18 this week. That's pretty much clear why they are. I mean, I'm not moving them down more because they didn't have their receiving core, which is very tough. Losing A.J. Brown and Julio Jones on your team in the same week is going to hurt you very badly, and it showed. I mean, we already knew Tennessee's defense couldn't hold up against pretty much any offense in this league. And, yeah, their offense couldn't hold up against a Jets defense that, not a very good passing defense, but it's a decent running defense. And Derrick Henry tried to get it going, and they just kept feeding him the ball, but they couldn't get anything going. And Tennessee did not look good in that game. They lost to the New York Jets. You just shouldn't lose to the New York Jets, even with 2 missing wide receivers. That's very embarrassing. I'd be embarrassed if I was a Tennessee fan. I'm very sorry to you guys that you guys lost to the Jets. But yeah, they got to move down. They're going to move down to 18. Tannehill played his best. I mean, you can't really do much when you don't have Julio and AJ. Derrick Henry definitely did his best, but he couldn't get anything going. Like, there was just nothing open for Derrick Henry. Titans defense, it needs work. It needs so much work. Before this game, New York, their offense was not very explosive, and they looked quite explosive in the later part of that game against Tennessee. And I don't know. I feel like Tennessee could be a contender if their defense was like top 5, and it is. It's like bottom 5 defenses in the league at the moment, and that's not a good thing. So yeah, I think Tennessee at 18 is a good spot. The other team that lost to a team they shouldn't have lost was the New Orleans Saints, who I have at 17 this week. I think they're a little bit better than the Titans. That's just my opinion. That could change. But yeah, they go in and they play the Giants. Or no, Giants came and played New Orleans in the Superdome. And yeah, the Saints sold. That's all I can say about that. The Saints sold. Alvin Kamara, I mean, he did pretty damn good. Jameis Winston did pretty good. I mean, offensively, the Saints did not look bad. They didn't look bad. The Giants' defense is pretty good. Not great, pretty good. So they did pretty good against them. But the Saints' defense, that was supposed to be a number 1... Well, that was a number 1 defense coming into this game. Didn't do very well. And they allowed a very, very low-tier offense to basically run all over them. Saquon did his thing. I said in my picks that it would not surprise me if Saquon Barkley runs all over the New Orleans Saints. And what did he do? That's exactly what he did. He didn't really run it all over him. It was more in the receiving game, but same difference. Game goes into overtime. New York wins. Saints look bad. That's all I can say. Another embarrassing loss. I feel bad for New Orleans Saints fans. I'm sorry. But they're going to move down. I have them at 17. I think that's a good spot. But we're going to move on to 16 and 15 right now. All right, so I have another 2 teams that fall 2 spots from their previous spots last week. That would be the Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers. At 16, I have the Broncos. I basically said in my picks, I said in my power rankings last week that this would probably happen. They were going to play top-tier teams, the Broncos. Before this week, they didn't play a team that had a win, and then they go and play a team that has beaten, like the Chiefs this year, and they kind of got exposed. I mean, defensively, they played a hell of a game. I mean, they almost held Baltimore to under, 100 yards rushing until that last play where they just wanted to keep the record, and Lamar just ran it for 4 yards. But defensively, they looked good. They didn't look great because they allowed a couple, deep passes, like that Marquise Brown pass in the end zone. There's not much to say about the Broncos. It's basically just up from here. They're up and down. I don't know how their season's going to progress. I hope they go into Pittsburgh this week and beat the Steelers. That'd be great for me and for Broncos fans probably. But yeah, Teddy B goes out with a concussion. I don't know if we know yet if he's coming back this Sunday. I don't think we're going to know probably till game day. So it's basically Drew Lock right now. We all know how Drew Lock played last year. I remember hearing that this offseason he was working out with Peyton Manning. So maybe he comes out and he plays good. He didn't play very good when he came in for Teddy Bridgewater. He probably wasn't expecting it though, so I don't know. Rushing attack looks great. Javonte and Melvin Gordon doing their thing. Courtland Sutton looks like a number one receiver again. I'm glad to see that coming off that leg injury. I feel like they really need Jerry Jeudy back, so I think he's coming back in the next couple weeks, hopefully. That'd be good. Noah Fant looks like a damn good tight end. I believe he was in the end zone last game, or against the Ravens. Oh, excuse me. I think that was one of their only scores. But yeah, I think the Broncos at 16 is good. I believe they're still a top 16 team in the league, half of the league, top half. So yeah, at 15, I'm gonna have the Carolina Panthers. They also fall two spots. Why can't I talk? I have problems. So they play the Cowboys. I projected that the Cowboys would win that game. I thought they were gonna win it even more than they did. But I didn't think the Cowboys were going to score 36 points on that Carolina defense. I thought going into the game, Carolina had a top defense in the league, which I believe they still do. I just believe that the Cowboys' offense is just way too explosive. And I felt like Carolina could have did better against the Cowboys' weak defense. Trayvon Diggs on the Cowboys, by the way. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, Sam Darnold throws 2 picks, both to Trayvon Diggs. I mean, he played good. I mean, they played good. They ended up with like 28 points, I believe, something like that. But I feel like the last touchdown was like garbage time touchdown, and they were just trying to, put themselves back in the game, make the game a little closer. And it just didn't work out. Chuba Hubbard came in as a replacement for McCaffrey. He didn't do too great. He did all right. Receiving-wise, DJ Moore had another huge game. He's almost at 400 yards receiving. That's really good to see. It's really good to see that DJ Moore's up there in the receiving. But yeah, defensively they need to work some things out against explosive offenses. I forgot who they play this week. I'm gonna look again. We'll just take a little minute to look. Why not? I should probably just keep this up on my phone, huh? Who the hell are they? Oh, they play the Eagles. Eagles also have a very explosive offense. So they're going to need to, put some pieces together, figure some things out, and I think they'll be fine this upcoming week against the Eagles. I do have them winning. It is at home. But, yeah, other than that, I think we should move on to 14 and 13, right? Yeah, we're going to move on to 14 and 13 right now. So, at 14, I have the San Francisco 49ers dropping 2 spots. In my picks video, I picked them to win. I hoped that the Seahawks would win, and that's exactly what the Seahawks did. But 49ers-wise, offense looked decent in the beginning of the game for a decent amount of the time. Their defense was holding Seattle very, very good. But then Jimmy Garoppolo goes down. Trey Lance comes in. Trey Lance did not look good at the beginning. He started to look decent towards the end of the game, but that was in garbage time. I don't know what to think of the 49ers. They're a very injured team. You don't know what you're going to get from them. Hopefully Trey Lance comes in, does very good for them. I hope they go into Arizona this week. I think they're going to Arizona. and I hope they beat them because that would just, if Seattle goes in this Thursday, or if when LA comes to Seattle, I hope Seattle beats the Rams, and if San Fran beats the Cardinals, then it'd be 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, and 4-1, and that's the NFC West. It's just competitive like that, so that'd be dope to see. Chance of the 49ers actually beating the Cardinals very low though, with their very injured team. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about the 49ers. They're just a very injured team. We didn't see very much of Trey Lance, so we don't know exactly how he's gonna do. He threw for 100 and some yards. I can't remember, but most of that came from one throw to Deebo Samuel. When Seattle's defense just completely broke down and just left him wide open, but we don't need to talk about that. Running wise, Trey Sermon came in, did pretty damn good. Not really much else to say. Deebo Samuel looks damn good. If he didn't have that one reception, he'd probably be sitting at 400 yards right now, but he's almost at 500 yards receiving. That is crazy to think about. George Kittle kind of had an off day. He's kind of, I don't know, they kind of have him in like a blocking scheme this year. I don't know how I feel about it. It's a little weird. But, yeah, defensively, they did good against the Seahawks for a while, and then they started getting tired because their offense was kind of getting shut out by Seattle's defense. And then Seattle just ran wild against them, scored 28 points. But, yeah, I think 14 is a good spot for the 49ers. Still don't like them because of the 49ers. Seahawks fan, if you didn't know. But, yeah, 14 is a good spot. And we're going to move on to 13, which we have the Raiders, who just played a little bit ago. Dropping 4 spots from 9 last week. The game I just watched was kind of embarrassing on the Raiders' parts. They come into this game 3-0. Everybody's talking about him. Everybody's talking about Derek Carr. Derek Carr didn't look very good, especially in the first half. The receiving game didn't look good. Darren Waller was basically not involved. The Chargers' defense did very good against the Raiders. I must say that they did great. Raiders defensively, they were good in the first half. Kind of for a minute, like mostly the first quarter. After that, the Chargers kind of just were throwing and running all over the Raiders defense. The Raiders defense was supposed to come out looking good. They didn't look good. They hit Justin Herbert a couple times, made him miss a couple throws. But yeah, there's not much to say about Derek Carr except, he still has thrown for 1,400 yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 picks. I believe he threw a pick tonight. Yeah, he threw one to Derwin James in garbage time. So that happened. Josh Jacobs was basically completely shut out tonight. It was kind of sad to see. I kind of want to see Josh Jacobs come off that injury doing good. Henry Ruggs doing good. Darren Waller doing good. I mean, all those receivers are going to be doing good when your quarterback's throwing for 1,400 yards through 4 games. So, yeah, Derek Carr's still on pace for 6,000 passing yards. So, other than that, I think 13's a good spot for them right now. I know my boy Astro probably not feeling too hot right now as a Raiders fan. I'm sorry for what happened tonight. Kind of not sorry because I told you it was going to happen. But, yeah, we're going to move on to 12 and 11 right now. All right, so I have the Bengals and the Seahawks both moving up 6 spots this week. Talk about the Bengals first. Bengals move up 6 spots to 12. They were at 18 last week. Yeah, that Thursday night game, they did their thing against Jacksonville. They're a 3-1 team. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I pretty much kind of talked about it a little bit because I posted my power rankings after that Thursday night game last week. Kind of a dumb move, but, whatever. This is based on last week. Joe Burrow looks great. He looks like a good second. Yeah, this is second-year quarterback coming off that ACL injury, or basically every ligament in his leg injury. Defensively, they looked all right, not great, but they kind of didn't look too god. What the hell just came out of my mouth? Too good because Jacksonville's, they were 0-3 coming into that game. They came in trying to beat the Bengals, and they were doing good offensively. Decent offensively. But the Bengals offense looks explosive. Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, I don't believe T. Higgins was in that game. Joe Mixon and Joe Burrow. That's a pretty explosive offense. So yeah, I believe the Bengals are a top 12 team right now, and that is really weird to say. There, a lot of good teams this year weren't good teams last year or the previous 3-4 years from there. But yeah, statistically speaking, Joe Burrow almost had 1,000 yards passing, 9 touchdowns, 4 picks. It's pretty good. 4 picks is not great, but he'll get better. I think some of those weren't even his fault, but Joe Mixon rushing like a beast. He might not even play this upcoming week, which would be tough. Yeah, Jamar Chase having a good year. Tyler Boyd having a good year. Uzomah, their tight end, had a huge game statistically last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Had 2 touchdowns. I don't know how many yards he had, but every time I looked up at the screen, it felt like he was the one making most of the plays. So, yeah, offensively they look great. Defensively they could work on a few things. But yeah, I think they're a very solid team. It's kind of weird having them at 12. But yeah, we're going to move on to 11. I have the Seattle Seahawks moving up 6 spots as well. This could be a little bit of bias, but I believe I didn't put them in my top 10, okay? I didn't put them in my top 10. I believe they're the second best 2-2 team in the league, behind obviously the Kansas City Chiefs. But yeah, offensively clicking on all cylinders. Running the ball, we weren't so good running the ball. Besides Alex Collins, yesterday I guess I could say, because it is Monday night. It just turned Tuesday, so we don't talk about it. Russell Wilson made some incredible plays against San Fran. That second touchdown pass he threw was crazy. He had a rushing touchdown that was like 15-20 yards. It looked like vintage Russell Wilson when he had them legs. He's not as old as I thought he was. But yeah, offensively we looked good. Defensively we looked better. We were doing very good defensively in the first half of that game. Second half we kind of let down a little bit. We had a couple times where we got exposed. Deebo Samuel had that huge reception where we just blew the coverage completely. But yeah, Russell Wilson, 72.5 completion percentage on 1,000 yards passing, 1,044. 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's been sacked 11 times, by the way. That is not very good. I wish our offensive line would do a little bit better, but, we can't do much about it. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Freddie Swain's doing great. Tyler Lockett had an off game against San Fran, but expect him to do good. If you have him in fantasy, expect him to do good this Thursday night because DK Metcalf and Jalen Ramsey will be going at it all night. And Tyler Lockett's going to be that outlet pass. So, Tyler Lockett's going to be open a lot. I expect him to do good. I expect the Seahawks to win this Thursday at home against the Rams. It's a big game, a must-win, in my opinion. And, yeah, they'd be going up second in the division if they do win. And the Rams would fall all the way to 3. So, hopefully it happens. But, yeah, we're going to move on to 10 and 9. So, I have the Cowboys at 10 again this week. I feel like I should have moved them up, but at the same time, there's a lot of movement in the top 10 teams this week. I mean, they blew the shit out of the Panthers. They didn't blow them out, but offensively speaking, they were very, very good this week. Ezekiel Elliott was doing his thing. Amari Cooper did good. CeeDee Lamb was kind of non-existent. But Dak Prescott, I believe, threw for 4 touchdowns, 4 or 5 touchdowns. Yeah, he's doing his thing. The Cowboys are doing their thing. Yeah, I believe the Cowboys are an actual contender this year. And that's pretty much all I can say. Statistically speaking, Cowboys are doing great. Dak Prescott over 1,000 yards passing. 75 completion percentage. That's insane. 10 touchdowns to 2 picks. That's pretty good. Offensive line's holding up with him. Only been sacked a couple times, 7 times. It's a decent amount. It's not crazy, though. Zeke, he looks like vintage Zeke coming out with 342 yards on 64 attempts. That's a 5-yard average. That's pretty damn good. CeeDee Lamb, still the leading receiver on the team, had a slow game against the Panthers. yeah, receiving wise, they kind of didn't do much against the Panthers, mostly because Cedric Wilson had a big catch I remember seeing. But yeah, the Panthers defense is good, and they exploited it in different ways than just throwing the ball like I expected them to do so. But yeah, I think the Cowboys at 10 is a good spot at the moment. I may have had them a little high last week, but yeah. At 9, I have the Los Angeles Chargers coming off that win earlier against the Raiders tonight. Huge win against the Raiders, by the way. That AFC West is looking like the NFC West. That is all I can say about that. Very good division. Very good division. Justin Herbert, almost 1,200 yards passing. 9 touchdowns, 3 picks. I believe 3 of those touchdowns came tonight. He had a huge game. I expected Mike Williams to do something tonight. He really didn't. Keenan Allen had a lot of receptions. Didn't really put many yards on the board. Yeah, Jared Cook had a damn good game. Austin Eckler was the star of that game. Rushing-wise, he did great. Receiving-wise, he did great. Yeah, offensively speaking, the Chargers looked very, very good. Like, top 5 offense in the league. That's what they look like. Defensively, they also look very good. They were holding the Raiders astoundingly. They held them to 14 points. Derwin James got an interception. Derek Carr couldn't get anything going for the most part in that game because their defense was just all over him. Their defensive line was in his face like all night. So I think the Chargers are a very good team. I feel like they're going to even move up in the power rankings as the season progresses. In my opinion, I believe the Los Angeles Chargers are a contender for the Super Bowl in the AFC this year. I thought that going into the season, and I definitely feel like that now. Justin Herbert is one of the next great QBs in this league, and I can promise you that. Him, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, they're the next up. We're coming out of an age with Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, all those guys, and we're coming into a new one. So we'll see how that progresses. But yeah, we're going to move on to 8 and 7 right now. Alright, so this is going to look a little weird to some people. I don't blame you. It's just, there's a lot of teams in that like top 6, top 5 area that were moving a lot this week, and some people had to move in, some people, no, not really many people moved out besides the Ravens, as you can see. But I can't really move the Chiefs up anymore. They're still a 2-2 team. They're the best 2-2 team, don't get me wrong. They destroyed the Eagles offensively. Offense looked good. Patrick Mahomes looked like he was back, ready to roll. The only problem I have with the Chiefs is that defense. Their defense just does not look good. You cannot allow a team like the Eagles to score as many points as they did. And I don't know. I really like the Chiefs. I really like Patrick Mahomes. But their offense will not be able to carry that team all season long. They're going to need a defense to be there, playing their hearts out, and it's just not there right now. So they need to do something defensively. But other than that, yeah, they're still a top 10 team. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think they should move this week. But yeah, statistically speaking, Patrick Mahomes over 1,200 yards. He's thrown 4 picks, but he's also thrown 14 touchdowns, by the way. Holy shit. I think he threw 5 in that game. God damn. Tyreek Hill had a hell of a game. He's over 450 yards receiving already. God damn. Just thinking about that. With that extra game this season, some of these people could have some insane statistics by the end of the season. Travis Kelce was quiet. Clyde Edwards-Helaire did pretty good that game. Patrick Mahomes had a lot of weird passes by the goal line. He had like a sidearm pass and an underhand pass. But yeah, I believe the Kansas City Chiefs are still a top 10 team in the league. I just don't believe they're in that top 5 like you usually see them. Not yet. They might get back into there. They just need to fix that defense up, and they probably will be. Because their offense is probably the best offense in the league. But moving on to 7. I believe 7, right? Let me just check. Yeah. 7, we have Baltimore falling a spot. That might seem weird again. Just a lot of movement in that top 6 area. Yeah, I mean, they went out against a top defense in the NFL, and they did great. I mean, Lamar looked good. There's really not much to say about the Ravens. They're usually in this spot. Lamar looks way better at throwing the ball than he usually looked. He's over 1,000 yards passing. He also almost has 300 yards rushing. He's their leading rusher and passer. Marquise Brown looks good. He's not like slowing down after that week 1 performance. Yeah, he had a really nice touchdown, really nice catch. He has 3 touchdowns on the season. Mark Andrews doing good yardage-wise, but I would expect him to be in the end zone more often. It's kind of Lamar's favorite target in that area. He hasn't caught one yet. It's kind of weird. But other than that, rushing game looks good. Lamar Jackson, Latavius Murray, Devonta Freeman, and Le'Veon Bell are now like top in that rotation. I think Tyson's kind of getting kicked out of it, which kind of sucks. I kind of like Tyson Williams, not going to lie. But I think, I don't know how they're going to run the ball. I think Latavius Murray is probably going to be that 1. Le'Veon Bell at 2 and Devonta that 3. But yeah, offensively speaking, great. Defensively, they held the Broncos. How much points did they hold the Broncos to? It's like right here. Let me just find it. They held the Broncos to 7 points. So it was basically a tale of 2 very good defenses, and the Broncos' defense did worse, and Baltimore's offense did better, and Baltimore's defense did better. So I think 7's a good spot for them right now, because I had to move some teams up into the power rankings. I also had to move a couple teams down, even though they had good wins, which you'll see in the next 6 and 5 right now. All right, so I have the Cleveland Browns moving down 2 spots. They were at 4 last week. They still beat the Vikings. They just didn't look good. Offensively speaking, they weren't clicking. Baker Mayfield, even in his press conference, said that they shouldn't win games when he plays like he did, which, yeah, he didn't play very good. He missed some throws that he should have made. There was one to Odell Beckham where literally wide open, green grass was the only thing in front of him, and Baker just missed him completely, and it's kind of tough to watch. But they're still a top team in the NFL. Their defense is straight carrying this team. Offense, when it's fully healthy, is also very top tier. But yeah, I think 6 is a good spot for them. I don't think there's really much else to say. I think they're better than a lot of teams. But yeah, statistically speaking, Baker's doing his thing. Isn't really throwing many touchdowns. He's only throwing 2 picks, which is kind of good. You usually see Baker with a high amount of interceptions. Nick Chubb's doing good rushing the ball. I wish he would get in the end zone a little bit more. It's kind of annoying, not going to lie, as a fantasy owner of Nick Chubb at the moment. Kareem Hunt, he's doing good. It's almost better to have Kareem Hunt with less rushing yardage as your running back from the Browns on your fantasy team, because that receiving game for him is helping him out so much. Nick Chubb just doesn't have that. Speaking of receiving wise, Kareem Hunt is the top receiver on that team, which is a little weird. Rashard Higgins is second. Odell, I think, only had I want to say 30 to 40 yards in that game. He needs to pick it up. But once Jarvis and Odell are completely back and that offense is flowing like it usually does, I believe they're going to be fine, and I believe they're going to be a top 5 team at the end of the year. But for now, I think 6 is a good spot. You can tell me different in the comments. It's kind of up to you guys. I would love to hear your guys' suggestions. But yeah, moving on to 5, we have the Arizona Cardinals, who go up, I believe, a spot or 2. Yeah, 2 spots. Hey. They did what I told them not to do to win that game, and they still won that game. They just went out there winging it. I mean, Kyler Murray was out there just throwing balls that really shouldn't be thrown. He was running all over the field, blah, 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 blah. Cardinals are a very weird team. they're the only undefeated team now. It's so weird to say that. But yeah, I mean, they're still a damn good team. I think top 5 is a good spot for them. Are at 5. I don't think they're better than some teams, even though they're 4-0. I don't even think they're better than the Rams. I think the Rams just had an off day defensively and offensively as well. Defensively, they held a very explosive Rams offense to a very small amount of points for that explosive of an offense. They held Cooper Kupp in check. Robert Woods did a little bit better than he usually does. Matthew Stafford just couldn't get anything going, really. But yeah, Kyler looks great. Completion percentage of 76. That's insane. 9 TDs, 4 picks. That 4 picks is kind of holding him back from like an MVP conversation type of thing, even though people are probably saying he is. He's thrown for 1,300 yards, and he's more of a running quarterback. But he only has 100 yards on the ground, which is weird. Yeah, but the receiving wise, AJ Green, Christian Kirk, and DeAndre Hopkins, and Rondale Moore, and Max Williams. I mean, Max Williams isn't at 200 yards yet, but every other receiver is. And Max Williams at Titans kind of been proving himself lately. He's kind of been, I didn't even know who the hell he was, and then all of a sudden he came out of nowhere and he's getting like 6 receptions a game. So, offensively speaking, Arizona's the top offense in the league. There's no question about that. When you have AJ Green and D-Hop and Kirk, oh god. Running wise, Chase Edmonds, I wish they would give him the ball more. It's kind of annoying. They kind of give James Conner like that touchdown. He's kind of like that push it in back, and he also gets snaps way down the field. I don't know. I feel like Chase Edmonds. Have I been saying Chris Edmonds? Chase Edmonds. I feel like Chase Edmonds is the better running back out of the two, and I feel like he should be getting more touches. He has 10 less attempts, but he has 70 more yards than James Conner on 10 less attempts. So I don't know. It's working for them, so I can't really bash on them about anything. They're a top team in the NFL. There's nothing much to say about it. But we're going to move into the top 4 teams in the NFL, in my opinion, right now. All right, so I have Green Bay going up 1 spot this week into the 4th spot. Yeah, they kind of beat the shit out of the Steelers. The score doesn't really show that. I mean, it was 27-17, I believe, or 28-27, or 17, I mean. But the Steelers got that touchdown very late, and it was basically 27-10 that entire game. Or not entire game. You know what the hell I'm talking about. Whatever. It was a garbage time touchdown. But Green Bay looks like, the normal Green Bay we're used to. Like a top 5 team in the NFL. Offensive is explosive. Defense doesn't look too great, but it did good against Pittsburgh, so that's all that matters. Green Bay's offense did very, very good against a very solid defense. But I feel like they did that good because their defense was tired. Again, the Steelers offensively can't get anything going, so that makes their defense tired in the long run. And Green Bay took advantage of that. Aaron Rodgers took advantage of that. Mr. Double-Check. Yeah, there's not much to say about Green Bay. So we'll talk about statistics. Aaron Rodgers, he's under 900 yards passing, but he's still doing great. He's thrown for 8 TDs, 2 picks. 2 picks were in that first game. But yeah, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon is a great duo in the backfield. Receiving-wise, Devontae Adams had a slow game, almost at 400 yards receiving, though, total. I'd love seeing Randall Cobb back in Green Bay. That connection between him and Rodgers is, legendary, in my opinion. I used to love watching Aaron Rodgers throw to Randall Cobb. Used to be a really cool connection. Same with him and Jordy Nelson. Wish Jordy Nelson was back, but But yeah, they only have 3 receivers over 100 yards. It's a little weird that Aaron Rodgers isn't throwing, a lot and efficient, too. He's only got 64%. He's usually in, the... What is his career? I feel like his career total is 73%. But yeah, he'll still pick it up more and more. But defensively, they need to work on a little bit. Offensively, they're good to go. So I feel like, they're a top 4 team in the NFL. So we'll move on to the Rams, who are going to drop 2 spots because they lost to the Cardinals this week. Offensively, they didn't look good. That's pretty much all I can say. They just didn't look good. Cooper Kupp's over 400 yards receiving. Crazy to think about. Darrell Henderson coming off that injury did pretty damn good. Matthew Stafford was still doing his thing, even though he wasn't really doing his thing. Defensively, they need to work some things out. Their defense got exposed by Arizona. I hope that defense plays exactly like that this Thursday night against the Seahawks, so that the Rams can fall and the Seahawks can rise. That's all I can say. But yeah, there's not really much else to talk about. I thought they were the top team in the NFL. They didn't look like it against the Cardinals. But I still think they're a top 3 team in the NFL. At the moment. If they lose to Seattle, then that's a different story. But yeah, I can't really talk about much because there's really nothing much to talk about. They need to get that run game more in tune instead of having to pass every 2 seconds. I don't like the way they do that. They don't... I mean, you'll see Darrell Henderson run in on first down, and then second down they'll pass and then miss, and then they'll pass again, hit, and then it'll be first down, they'll do play action. It's like they didn't even establish the run game to even do play action. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, they need to fix some things on defense. They still got Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. I don't know how good Aaron Donald is doing because I haven't really heard his name, but he always has Russell Wilson's number, so he'll probably pick it up. But yeah, we'll move on to my opinion on the top 2 teams right now. All right, so my top 2 teams, as you can see, I believe that Tampa Bay is at 2 and Buffalo is at 1. We'll talk about Buffalo in a second. Tampa comes off a big win in New England. They're kind of lucky that field goal didn't hit from Nick Folk, but, you know, the weather kind of helped him out there. Tom Brady gets a win in Foxborough. The amount of times I've heard that. But yeah, they go up a spot because the Rams kind of got shit on, and Tampa won. So I believe they're the second best team right now. There's really not much to talk about them as well. I will show you some statistics. Tom Brady is almost at 1,400 yards passing. He is 44 years old, by the way. If you didn't know that, he's 44 years old and he's doing this. He's throwing 10 touchdowns, only 2 picks. Leonard Fournette had a pretty decent game. Chris Godwin was basically non-existent. Mike Evans did decent. Antonio Brown did decent. Gronk wasn't there. That was tough for Brady, by the way. Brady loves Gronk in the red zone. That is just statistically proven. He's usually looking Gronk's way, and Gronk wasn't there. I mean, O.J. Howard wasn't popping up. I don't remember the other tight end's name, but he wasn't popping up. Giovanni Bernard also wasn't in that game. He's his outlet pass. So he's basically passing to like Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones, which aren't really receiving backs, and it's kind of tough. Defensively, they did decent. They kind of allowed Mac Jones to push down the field a couple of times, as I said before. But yeah, I feel like they're the second best team in the NFL. I don't think that's really out there. What might surprise y'all is that I believe the Buffalo Bills are the best team in the NFL. Even though they came off a win against the Houston Texans, I still think they have the best defense in the NFL and probably the second or third best offense in the NFL. And that combined just, in my opinion, makes you the best team in the NFL. They shit all over the Houston Texans. They dropped 40 points and their defense held Houston to zip. Nada. I think that's back-to-back shutouts, if I'm not mistaken. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Josh Allen, playing like Josh Allen, usually a low completion percentage. Always throwing touchdowns, always running it in. His offensive line's holding up pretty good. It's good to see. Devin Singletary looks decent, which is weird. Not like great, but decent. Zach Moss looks alright. Stephon Diggs is doing his thing, not as much as I expected, not gonna lie. He's only been in the end zone once, which is weird. Emmanuel Sanders is a good secondary receiver. I thought that was a huge pickup, by the way. Love Emmanuel Sanders. I live in Denver. Watched a lot of him when he played for the Broncos. I think his career kind of took a downfall when he took that hit from the Rams that one year. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Cole Beasley's doing all right. Dawson Knox, so glad I picked him up in fantasy this week. Helped me out tremendously in a couple of my leagues. Yeah, I knew he was going to have a big game. I really didn't know. I just projected that he would. Playing against Houston, nobody's really going to cover him. Who the hell is? has 2 touchdowns. Oh man, that was good for me. But yeah, offensively they did great. Defensively they were god tier. You couldn't do anything against their defense. Like, Houston's offense had a horrible time against the Bills, and so did the Dolphins. Those are also very bottom tier teams. So this week when they play the Chiefs, that'll be a big showing out. But I think they're gonna win. If you look at it, like on paper, on MGM they have the Bills as underdogs against the Chiefs, which makes sense because it's in Arrowhead. But offensively, the Bills are gonna shit all over that Kansas City defense, and Patrick Mahomes and their offense is gonna have a very hard time against a very, in my opinion, the best defense in the league. So I see that going in the Bills' favor. I think Kansas City is gonna start off 2-3. But yeah, that was my power rankings. If you would change anything, let me know in the comments. Please let me know in the comments. I'd love to see your guys' analysis opposed to my analysis on the games this week. I don't know if I think I'm going to be posting this later, well, basically later today, on Tuesday, decently early. I'm going to get some more recordings out tomorrow. We're going to record our picks tomorrow. I'll post that Wednesday. Yeah, I'm going to post that Wednesday. I'm going to post the picks Wednesday. I'm going to make a video on score predictions. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to post that also tomorrow, hopefully, later in the day, so that there's time to watch this video and then time to watch that video. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, please let me know if you changed anything, if you like where I placed people, if you didn't like where I placed people. But yeah, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you are subscribed, hit that bell notification when you know that so that you know when I upload. But yeah, I hope everybody has a great week 5. Can't wait for this upcoming week. Thursday night is gonna be fire. Y'all better watch that. It's gonna be a fucking explosion of offenses, and hopefully Seattle's defense doesn't get shredded. It probably will, but you know. But yeah. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. If you are, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And you guys have a nice night. Deuces.